Take me out to California.
Hi everyone and welcome to this video. This was filmed in Marbella. I have been on my holidays. If you didn't see the last video, then you'll be wondering why I am half naked. I'm not half naked, I promise. I do have clothes on. So this video I wanted to talk to, it was sparked by a conversation that I had on the plane from Newcastle to Malaga after I did my TED talk, and I met a real cool bunch of people, and I got sat next to, and they may well say this, I don't know, got sat next to a guy called Paul, and we were chatting. And this isn't the first, this is actually one of two conversations that I've had over the course of the last week of a similar topic. So this isn't just based on my conversation with the guys on the plane, and this is also a second conversation that I was having in Newcastle as well. We discussed, and in the conversation that we're having, we're based around employment and being an entrepreneur. I know many of you hate that word, and it's hard to say, and it's definitely hard to spell, but working for yourself, being your own boss versus employment. And for those of you that don't really know me massively, I've never had a proper job. So I started out as an actor when I was younger, and I've done all kinds of short-term work, whether that be acting, modelling, singing, in entertainment stuff, radio presenting. I also used to do promotional modelling outside of acting, so between acting jobs where you give out free stuff and stuff like that, and you promote different brands. Obviously, you know, I do video content stuff now. I work as a life coach, and I do positive mindset workshops. I also work with brands still, but in different capacity to giving out the freebies on the street. I do it on here. I have worked in a strip club as selling tequila shots, so I wasn't stripping. I've cleaned houses. I have worked in a bar. I have always, I mean, the list is long. The list is so long of the things that I've done. And actually, initially it was because as an actor, I believe that actors have to live, and sometimes actors can go stage school to stage school to stage school to TV, and then you're like, so how are you gonna act that? I mean, if you haven't lived, it's very difficult to be a good actor. If you haven't actually lived and felt pain and felt anger and felt, you know, and lost stuff and had all this stuff, it's really hard to be an actual good actor. So I always wanted to do loads of different weird stuff to see what would happen. And I've talked about this before. I will maybe do another one on all of the weird jobs that I have done, because they're weird. But this video, I wanted to just say, like, you know, I'm not coming from a place of having been an employed person as such. I've had like moments of, I guess, where you would be classed as employed, but I've never had a 9-to-5 steady job. I've never had a yearly wage. I've never cared about bank holidays. You know, I don't live in the same way as the norm. But I think actually these days there are a lot of us that are like that. And even if some of you are doing the normal 9-to-5 or something similar, you may also have a bit of a side hustle, a side thing going on that you're working on. And I think there are way more options than ever before. Now, the conversations that I was having were about that transition. So some people, whether it's later, you know, in retirement age, you know, wanting to finish and what do I do now, you know, maybe don't want to stop working altogether. I'd like to still have a wage. Or people who were younger, and I was speaking to somebody who was in their 30s who wanted to stop their job and wanted to start something that they wanted to do for a while, a business. And it's that transition, isn't it? So again, I was watching a video the other day from Gary Vee, who obviously is massive. If you don't know of Gary Vee, then you should, and certainly if you want to be an entrepreneur, then you definitely should. But he's very straight talking, and his video was absolutely about that. It was about when people, you know, if you've got a proper job, you've got this set wage, this set package, maybe you get a pension. I don't know, if you're in America, maybe you get a healthcare option, and you've got this safety net. And then going into being your own boss can feel quite scary. But often it feels scary because you want to have immediately the same thing. So you want to go, well, I want exactly the same money, I want exactly the same lifestyle, I want nothing to change. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. In order for you to have an amazing life, a really amazing life, where you make the decisions, you decide what you do, you are your own boss, you decide what you wear, where you do your business, whatever, in order to have that, then the transition might get a bit tougher for a little bit. And the reality of that is it's probably not as tough as you think it's going to be. It's just that you might have to step back, maybe on finance, maybe you have to make less money for a bit, maybe you don't have quite the same perks, certainly you haven't got the same safety net, and maybe you don't have to do maybe you can't afford to do some of the things that you do right now. But in order to do that for a short time to have an amazing rest of your life where you make all the decisions and potentially could make way more money than you make now, or if not making more money, have a better life, a better quality of life. Because often we work so hard, but we rarely but we're not making decisions for ourselves. We still have to, you have to go to a proper job, you have to go by somebody else's rules, you have to do what they want you to do, when they want you to do, where and what they want you to do. But maybe you're making loads of money and you can have 5-6 holidays a year, that's great, but it's getting that balance. You still have to go and do that work every day, you're still accountable to somebody else, and it's what do you want. Now, there's no right or wrong, and I know that in the past I have been critical of 9 to 5 massively, but I've grown up, and actually I realised that for some people you want to go to work, do your job, come home, switch off, and have your weekends and your bank holidays. And do you know what? If that makes you feel good, that's just fine. But if it doesn't make you feel good, there are other options. But it might mean that you have to stop buying stuff that you don't need, stop doing things that you don't need for a short time to have massive gains in the long run. And that's important. And don't be scared of that transition, because things will change, but they have to change in order for you to have the things that you really want. When my daughters were born, me and my husband at the time were doing all kinds. I was acting, modeling, we were doing promotional work, we were running about all over the place. Sometimes we'd do 3 different jobs a day, we would sell stuff, we rostered printed t-shirts, we were always, very entrepreneurial minds, and we were busy, and we would just try and make money. It was very much about how much money can we make, and we were together, so I guess we had that. And we were having fun. But when Brooke was born, we decided that we would take our foot off the pedal, and we would get our gains in being around each other as a family. And I think that initially we were a bit scared of that, because we knew that taking our foot off the pedal would mean financially we weren't earning as much. But the interesting thing happened that over the course of a few years, we had done that, but actually what we started to do was work smarter. So eventually, over the course of a few years, that pay disparity, so the money that we were initially not getting, changed, and we were actually making more than we had previously, but we were doing less. And that can happen, when you start to work smarter and you make better decisions, because we are all busy fools, aren't we? We're all running about the place all the time. But often when you take a step back and you allow yourself to look at, what do you need to earn? What do you need to earn? Like, what do you need to pay the bills, to pay your mortgage, all that stuff? What is just spends and you enjoy doing it? Okay, cool. And it's not saying that you can ever have that back, but maybe in that transition you can't have your nights out every weekend, just for a little bit, so that you can have them forever. So your everyday can be that, so your everyday can be amazing. It's just looking at what you need versus what you want. And actually, when you become your own boss, you have the potential. And I get excited by this. So I think, like, every week I think, who knows what could happen this week, because I do lots of things. The option for somebody to come in and say, okay, Holly, we would like you to speak at our event in America for £50,000. That call could come in this week. Could, might not, might. But like, as much as I am kind of saying that tongue-in-cheek, it doesn't frighten me that call will come at some point, and doesn't frighten me that I feel excited that every week there could be something new that could happen. And that's the exciting thing when you work for yourself, that you just don't know what could be around the next corner. And I know for some of you that are employed, that's quite scary. And that was the conversation I was having on the plane, and in the week, was with people who were saying, no, but that would be really scary. Aren't you scared? Aren't you scared to have that responsibility on your head? And you know what? There might have been a time when I would have been, but I'm not now. And actually, some of that's down to my husband Ross, because he was very much very had a very good money mindset, and he wasn't scared of money, and he wasn't scared to, he just used to say, well, we've got them refilling bank accounts, it just refills itself, don't worry about it. If we haven't got anything now, it'll come back, don't worry about it. And it's such a good mindset to have, and it's really rubbed off on me. And I just think, I've never worked for anybody else, so if something doesn't work out for a bit, I'll work it out. I trust myself that I will work it out. And maybe that's part of what it is, that you trust that, you know what, okay, so worst happens, you've got to go and do a rubbish job again for a bit. That doesn't mean that's forever. This is the thing, guys, we don't have to be the same thing forever. We can change. So wherever you're at right now, even if you've been fully employed and immersed in office life, and actually now you're like, nah, I don't know if I want that anymore, that's okay. You know, you can be different people. I know I talk about this a lot, but I think it's really important to hammer home the message that you can change your mind, you can change, you know, I try to admit when I've changed my mind, you know, me saying that actually I used to vilify people who work 9 to 5. You know what, I've grown up a bit. That's me being honest about that. I actually now appreciate that people like different things, and I cannot be the dictator to say that everybody should be self-employed, because that might not be for you either. But I always want you to know that there is an option, and these days we do not have to be one thing. People have portfolio careers, people do different things. You don't have to pigeon yourself into one, you know, pigeonhole yourself, because I'm sure that you are not one thing. In fact, there was a really interesting guy, and I forget his name, I think it was Mark, I've forgotten his name anyway, sorry, but you'll see him on, I will share his TED talk with you. But when I was there the other day, he was a comedian, and he was heavily some clever dude in climate change. Love how I have no clue what his qualifications were in, but really clever, heavy stuff, all about climate change and the environment, and was very, very intelligent. So he's got this one facet of his personality, and then the other where he's really good at comedy and fun, and he's managed to combine these two things and create an amazing act, all on climate change, but it's very humorous, so you laugh at it, but also you learn something by mistake, which is great. So he combined the two. So just don't think that you know, you have these different sides. I mean, that's the good thing about being an entrepreneur, that you can just make up a job. You can go, well, I really love fishing, but I also really love jigsaw. Oh, that's a terrible, I can't even think of one. Gardening, fishing and gardening. Okay, I don't know. I love fishing, and I love making videos about fishing. That was an easier transition, but you know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you can combine things, you can make things up, you can whatever. The world is seriously your oyster. We have so much access to information and the ability to put our stuff out there these days, that, you know, you can have your iPhone, and you can be anywhere in the world, and you can be generating money, and people do. I know there's a lot of bollocks online as well, where people are pretending, but people do. And why not? Why can't that be you? It's just about letting go of some of the fear that we have surrounding it, and realizing, yeah, okay, maybe you leave that comfy 9 to 5 job, but for short-term losses, it's long-term gains. You can have that. I really do believe that. So let me know what your thoughts are on this area, whether you're a solid 9 to 5er and you're like, this is cool for me, and that's brilliant, or you're a 9 to 5er that's like, I'd quite like to be working for myself, or you want to do both and you just enjoy your little side hustle, and that's all good as well. Let me know what you do on here, on Instagram, Holly Matthews 84, on Twitter, Holly Matthews, on Facebook, facebook.com/I am Holly Matthews. And if you would like to come along to my workshops, because I have some positive mindset workshops this year. My next one is Manchester in the north of England, then Nottingham in the middle, and then Manchester is June, Nottingham is June, the end of June. Then I've got Liverpool in July. August I'm in Newcastle, and November I'm in Coventry. Also, I'm hopefully going to be letting you know about a retreat that I'm doing in September, which won't be in the UK, and I would like you to be coming along to that as well. That would be amazing. Speak to you all soon.
Take me out to California.